Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. Well, unfortunately, this is not going to be the positive video that I like to make, but it's not necessarily going to be negative either. And I was deciding on whether I should make this video if it actually occurred. But I think there's some good things to discuss here that have to do more with the actual decision that looms for Kadyn Proctor. In this new day and age with NIL, which is name, image, and likeness, if you're not aware, the transfer portal and things like that, the college landscape has drastically changed. And I would say that there's more freedom for athletes within the college arena than there is that exists in the pros. And I think there's some people, and this kind of bugs me a little bit. There's some people who, on one hand, will get pissy and upset when a guy hits the transfer portal and leaves Iowa. But on the flip side, they will also be the same person, guy or gal, who says, well, they're just kids. They're just kids. Now, not everybody is like that. Okay. I'm not saying that's everybody, but I think that there are some certainly that are inconsistent. So let's, I guess, kind of dive into each point. Let's dive into and then I'll give you my full take on Kadyn Proctor. But I'll be honest here. Most of this video is kind of on the other things that are going on around this decision. Let's discuss they're just kids thing. If you spend any time on the internet, especially as a college football or college sports fan, you will see people, especially in recruiting, who go, yeah, you're not, I'm not saying me specifically to me, but I see them say it to others. What a goofball you are for yelling at a kid. He's just a kid. Wouldn't you do this? Or, we can't critique the decision because he's a kid. Because that's basically, when they say that, that's basically what they're saying. They're basically saying, due to the individual being a kid, the decision is non-critiquable. Okay. You cannot have any line in the sand about it. I would also go as far to say that some try and shame even more so, and basically call someone a loser for tweeting at a kid. Okay. And there's even a few things within that to hit here. Okay. Number one, if you think that they are just kids, I'm sorry, but you are sadly mistaken. You just are, because their age reflects them being a kid, but everything else reflects them being a full grown ass individual. Okay. Full grown a man. Okay. The money, the pay for play. I mean, at what point does it become okay to critique? Like let's look at LeBron James, shall we? At what point was it okay for people to critique LeBron James? Was it as soon as he graduated from high school? Was it 5 years into his NBA career? Was it while he was in high school? See, I tend to think that it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with all the other things, all the other external things. The privilege, the authority, the honor, the money, all these things that come that usually would come with like a normal individual like you and me, that would come with time. And I understand we're kind of getting theological here, but those things would come with time, are given to them very young. And so my simple answer about it is, yeah, their age is a kid, and yes, by the strictest measure of things, yes, developmentally they probably are, excuse me, a kid. But if you look at all the external things, how much people pay attention, how much people value their ability to play sports, how much, like literally, how much people put into the players and the team as a whole, that's not what you would do for a kid, like cut and dry like that. You would only do that for someone who is basically a professional, because they are basically professionals. They make money. They used to not. Now, if this was like 5 years ago, before name, image, and likeness, I would tend to agree with the whole sentiment of, well, they're just kids. But now, even though I wouldn't fully agree, but I would agree with it more back then. Now, with them being paid to play football, they're no longer simply college students. In fact, they're actually as far from being a college student as they have ever been. You mean to tell me that they're that Spencer Petrus's life or Jack Campbell's life is the same as a normal college student on the University of Iowa? Please give me a break. It's just not. I would go further and say that when it comes to the money, that, you know, when you're a fan, you are basically contributing to the whole sphere that is college sports by using, paying with your eyeballs, with your actual money. When you buy merchandise, I mean, that money goes to the schools, it goes to the players, goes to their facilities. So, yeah, you do have at least some say so. Do you have all the say so? Of course not. Of course not. Okay. But if you are a paying customer, you are contributing in at least some small way. Okay. In some small way. I'm not saying that means, therefore, you can do this and call for this or anything like that. I'm just saying that it does provide some pathway to at least have an opinion. Now, as a whole, as a former, Division I water polo player myself, even though I was never in the situation that Kadyn Proctor's in, okay, as a whole, do I think it's makes any difference at all if you or I tweet one of these kids, or not kids, one of these athletes? Of course not. Of course not. And in the end, you just, if I mean, you could just go on Twitter and see it in 2 seconds. In the end, you're just going to bring a bunch of heat to yourself, have numerous people call you, an a-hole for being saddened. And I want to make that point too. Okay. So does it do anything? No, it doesn't. Okay. Again, that in and of itself does not, it's just a point to consider. That's all it is. It's just a point. It's not a this, therefore that type of thing. But I also want to say that I understand on a certain level some of the, and this kind of goes back to the paying customer. I can kind of understand why certain individuals, or not certain individuals, fans are like saddened by this information. Guys, college football, Iowa is a million, almost $1 billion industry. People treat college sports, which is a whole, and sports in general, which is a whole different discussion in and of itself, which is, I would say, the idolization of sports in America. Well, and the West, I would say the West, but that's a different conversation for a different channel, probably. But the reality is, it's a, massive industry. People eat it, it's religious to them, especially you go to certain areas like the South, the SEC, it is religious to them. people, you go back to some of the, SMU days and things like that. People would be willing to commit crimes to help their team win football games. Okay. And my point is not to say that that makes it right. It's just that on a certain level, I understand that they're let down. Am I going to shame a fellow Iowa fan for being bummed out that a 5-star offensive tackle, which Iowa rarely gets, decided at the last second to go to Alabama, which was the second time that Iowa had an offensive lineman flip? And it's not even at wide receiver or, it's at a position that Iowa is really, really good at. So do I understand why fans are bummed out? Of course I do. Of course I do. Of course. And if you're acting like you don't understand that, then you're just being dishonest, in my opinion, because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be a fan. And so I always find it hilarious when I went to see, some people post like, oh, I don't care if he leaves. Stop tweeting him, or, stop doing this and this, it doesn't matter. No, it does. Okay. What you're doing is just a major cope, just in the opposite direction of the other person. It's not, your reaction is not necessarily better because they're both reactive. It's just a different type of cope. So, again, of course, I understand people being bummed out that a 5-star offensive tackle from the state of Iowa, who was committed the whole time, who actually spurned Alabama before, decides to flip. Of course, I understand. And you should too. You should have a little bit more grace on that. All right. That's pretty much my thoughts on that. I don't, I really don't think that you can truthfully consider these individuals as full-blown kids. Like I saw Tyler Kluver say, like, and he was just kidding around, but he said, if I was a, or if I was given a big enough paycheck, I would become a podcaster for Iowa State, meaning that there is a price tag in which everybody would flip and go to the dark side, if you will. And I don't have an issue with that necessarily. All I'm saying with this is that on one hand, you are going to point out the unique set of circumstances that exist for college athletes, but on the other, you're going to say, oh, well, he's just, they're just a kid. Therefore, you cannot critique. And it's like, well, what happened to the unique set of circumstances that exist here? Can we at least acknowledge across the board that they are indeed a unique set of circumstances, that it's not that simple, that they are just kids? Because I really don't think it's that simple. I really do not. Again, does that mean that I think it's beneficial or even right for you to go and tweet at a kid? No, I don't. But I just try and have understanding about it, and, not really say one reaction is the worst. Now, moving on here, I'm curious what you guys think of that, because I think my audience, especially with the Iowa Hawkeyes, it kind of varies. I think more people on my channel are going to be in line with what I just said. And if you're not, I'm totally cool with that. I absolutely am. Again, are you really going to provide the argument that they're just kids when Kadyn Proctor is possibly going to flip to Alabama, largely in part of the big chunk of money that he's about to receive? Again, let's apply the unique set of circumstances all the way around. All right. Now, what do I think is going to happen? I don't have any inside information on this. It doesn't look good. I will honestly tell you that it doesn't look good. Like I said, I don't have inside information on this. And matter of fact, I've kind of some of the analysts and regional and national, I've seen kind of conflicting reports on this. And so we'll see. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would probably lean towards the flip. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if, come Tuesday night, we haven't heard anything and, he's still thinking it over and decides to stick with the Hawks. I've seen some people discuss that they don't like that how Proctor has done this. And I would tend to agree. You know, it would be far more palatable for the decision to have been made a while ago rather than getting down to the last week and deciding to go somewhere else. That does suck. Okay. I'm not going to lie about that. That definitely sucks. But again, if I was a betting man, I would say the flip. But would I be surprised if Iowa lands the signing? No, I wouldn't. We don't have the answers behind the scenes. So, what is this? If he does flip, what does it mean for Iowa? Well, it's a huge loss, and people pretending that it's not a huge loss are just being silly. Now, Kadyn Proctor could end up being a total bust, and he could not have the career that most people are projecting for him. But let's just say, all things being equal here, based off of where he's at now, it's likely he's going to be a stud. And absolutely, it sucks to lose a guy like that. I mean, that's a day one contributor. Anytime you lose a day one contributor, it sucks. It does. Again, to say otherwise is a major cope. And if it happens, what does Iowa do? They're going to have to go into the portal and they're going to have to find an offensive lineman to provide some depth to this offensive line. The offensive line class for 2023 is still really solid, even without Proctor. If that's what happens, but I think Iowa would be smart to go and make a move for an offensive lineman, but it may be too late. I mean, the transfer portal, folks, happens like this, like decisions and rosters start filling up like that. And while I've been pleasantly surprised on certain regards at Iowa doing really well and landing a highly touted tight end and a really good quarterback, they are making some mistakes as well. I mean, if you're going to go, you have to have your whole plan mapped out before the season even ends, and who you're going to go after, why you're going after them, and the types of resources that you're going to denote to going after them. All right, guys, let me know what you guys think. This is, the decision could be made by the time I'm done recording this. I am curious what you guys think. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It takes 1.25 seconds. I appreciate all the love and the support. Hang in there, folks. I'll have you guys covered. Either way, your boy is always locked and loaded, ready to go. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow and facts or feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you. See you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye.